And we're live.
Welcome to the Makeshift Podcast, number 15. We got a special guest today, Mike Venezia, our NBA expert, but apparently he's got more in his belt that he could talk about. So we're excited for today.
Yeah, I got a lot of tricks in my arsenal, so I'm excited. Excited to be back. I'm ready to go. So
I have a question to start off this podcast. First of all, there's a dog upstairs, so if there's any background noise, we're watching a dog and he's scratching at the door. Things are flying around upstairs. I have a question to start us off. If there was one sport that you think that you could go pro in, that you would have the best chance to go pro in, what sport would it be? Yeah, it sounds like there's a war
insane
going on
upstairs. I have my answer.
what is it?
Bowling.
I mean,
There's a lot of good bowlers.
There's a lot of good bowlers, but I feel like if I trained appropriately and properly, you're only playing against a score, really. The lanes are different. It's a lot more advanced than a normal. I'm a good bowler. I average like a 190, 200 now.
What's a pro bowler score?
On like a professional like bowling alley, like around 240, 250. And then they bowl 300s occasionally, and they can bowl into the high 200s. I'm not saying I can compete with a pro, but there's crazier things that can happen.
Quick backstory. Summer 2019, I went to Quartermania Bowling. I met Zach and a few friends there. And Zach straight out told me that I was not good enough yet to be in his lane. But that was the best thing that he could have told me, simply because from there I learned how to spin the ball. And the last time I went, I bowled a 209.
Where you joined the 200 club, and now you're allowed on the lane. If you haven't bowled a 200, you're not allowed on the lane.
Ever?
Well, it's between me and Chris and I bowl together, and we do the Quartermania. It depends how many people are there, but mainly we like to have people who can compete or at least put up a good game. Like, we kick Alec off it all the time.
That's fair.
We don't like Alec on the lane. We put him on his own lane if we can.
What do you think?
For me, if we were just talking like one of the major sports, I feel like soccer.
Soccer?
Yeah, and that was one sport I literally had no interest in, but just like, I guess just like my size, and I always had good stamina. I always felt I was like much faster than most people when I was younger. So maybe like be like a center back, something along those lines. And then my second one was bowling. I literally love bowling. If I really committed to it, I'd thoroughly enjoy it. But I'm not as good as Zach, obviously.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at bowling.
Yeah, he's really good.
I think basketball overseas.
I don't know. I don't know about that. They're so good. I mean, maybe if we train like completely, we all played basketball in high school. We were on the same team. So like maybe if we, really dedicated hours a day to it, that we would get to some level that, I don't know, man. I just feel like I stick with my answer with bowling.
That's fair.
Soccer is really tough. I have no foot-eye coordination at all.
Foot-eye.
Eye-foot. So for me, that would be very tough and hard, but I like your point with the stamina. I could see that.
That's fair.
I'm also 5'9", just for clarity. Zach is like a freak of nature athletically. He probably has like a 6'8" wingspan, and Brian's at least 6'1", 6'2" as well. So in terms of playing professionally, they probably have a little better shot than me. But I think you're like 6. What are you, 6'2" with shoes on?
6'2" with shoes on.
That's why I said that. Yeah.
Didn't I say that the other day?
That's why I said that.
Somebody asked me how tall I was. I was like, I'm 6'2" with shoes on.
I always thought like that range though. Like
What's your license say?
Does it say right?
Yeah.
It says 6'1".
Okay. I have a whole thing with the DMV right now. I'm waiting for my license. I have an expired license.
I just got mine.
I've paid twice for it. It hasn't come in the mail yet. They sent it. It got sent back. I had to reorder it. I couldn't get onto the portal because they thought I received it. I don't want to talk about the New Jersey DMV.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the new license? It almost looks fake. It's like so thin. Like the font's like weird. Yeah, every time I see it, I'm like, is this real? I don't know how I feel about it.
Don't they have the real ID and the normal one? Are you talking about the one, or are they both the same?
Just like the new one that they give out to everybody. Oh, yeah? It's extremely thin. Like the New Jersey is like in blue instead of red now. It just like looks weird. I can't explain it.
And you went to the DMV for it?
Well, I'm September, but like I've seen a handful of people that have it. Did you get yours shipped to you?
Yeah, I got mine shipped.
But it's a non-real ID. Non-real.
It's a real.
My license.
Literally his.
Well, it's mine's gonna be my license too, but there's a non-real one that like
I don't know. Who cares?
You can't travel in the airport with it.
No, you can't.
Oh, but I assume you're only delivered one though. Like what? So I guess like what else are you gonna use if it's?
You ever think about getting a tattoo,
Passport.
Zach?
I don't know, passport.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I've thought about it. I thought maybe it's got to be something I'm passionate about. I thought maybe something related to Breaking Bad. We've joked about animals
What
on
would you
our
get
body.
if you got a Breaking Bad tattoo? That sounds like such a nerdy response.
The Heisenberg logo.
Yeah, the
that you drew?
Heisenberg.
Oh,
yeah, the
God.
nice
That's
little
you, though.
Heisenberg.
Yeah, you
Come on,
epitomize that
it's not
show.
that. I would put it somewhere small, and that's
your
my
wrist?
favorite show. I'm looking at
Yeah,
my
I know.
wrist.
I
I don't.
feel like
I don't
that's-
think this is where I would put it, but I don't know where I would.
I feel like you would go thigh.
I was just about to say your thigh, like
Just
right
you
here,
don't have to see
like where
it all the
Brian
time,
has
but when
his.
you want to see it, you
That's
see it.
fair. I mean, I like people who get the tattoos over here.
I was gonna say you're gonna get
Nice
crystal
and
meth
easy.
tattooed on you.
No,
Just the rocks.
no, that's not. Yeah, the blue
Yeah.
rocks. No, I don't know. I've thought about like animals and stuff. Like we've joked about that. I would never actually get that. But what of like meaning would you get tattooed? To me, it would have to be meaning. Like I'm not just gonna get it to look like body art.
For me, I think if KD led the Nets to a championship, I would get the Brooklyn Bridge right on my scapula, my upper
Wow.
shoulder, and I would get his jersey like hanging from the bridge. I wouldn't
Isn't your family
I
from
wouldn't
Brooklyn, too,
actually
though?
do that, but my family's from Brooklyn and Staten Island.
Yeah,
so
that makes more
but-
sense than.
No, I mean, I've thought about like Saint Michael here, but again, right? Like you have to really, I feel, have meaning behind it.
What about your tattoos in high school?
My tattoos in high school, they're hennas actually, so they're not real.
Oh, clearly.
The first one I got was with Zach in Seaside. Still don't remember what it was. It was on my rib cage.
It was like a panther, wasn't it? It was like a.
Yes, it was a panther. Yes, and I went to Aruba on vacation a few weeks later, and I still had the panther there. And people were coming up to me saying, "Are you a 15, 16-year-old with a panther tattooed on your rib cage?" And then I got Fearless, senior year Wildwood. I don't know. I was feeling high and mighty that weekend. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
That sounds like. Oh God, I don't know.
That's good though. Tattoos, fine. Hennas. I don't even think I got one in Seaside when I went with you. I think I just watched you get the panther because I don't remember getting tatted.
You were probably like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I got to spend money on this.
$20,
Yeah,
40 bucks.
15, 20.
Yeah, no, those were good times.
Those were good times. I lost a lot of money on Boardwalk games that week. Oh, I got to go in the money machine that week.
The one where you catch it in a fly.
Yeah, I
That's
played
pretty
the basketball game in the back, and then I got enough points on it that they spun the wheel, and then they let you know how many tickets you got based off how many dollars or whatever. So I went in the machine that like shoots up all the money. It's wonderful.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
No, maybe not. What's your favorite Boardwalk game?
Oh,
What's your favorite Boardwalk game?
So before I say my favorite,
So Boardwalk games are different than arcade games.
yeah. So I think the most difficult one, I just have to add, when you have to like hammer the frogs into the pond? I've probably attempted that game at least 15, 20 times, and I maybe have landed one.
That's like the one that you keep going back to because it is possible. Not like the ring toss out of the bottle, so that's actually impossible. But that one's possible. It's like 1 out of like 50 tries though.
Yeah. And
That's
then
that is a great game.
I guess my favorite, shooting the water gun so that like
yeah,
it
those are
rises up.
electric.
That's like a classic one because you
You
can
gotta
compete
have
with
packed
others. Packed house.
Packed house with a mega prize.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like recruiting people on the boardwalk. Like I used to get a kick out of that as a kid. So
I like the basketball. I think the basketball's a classic one.
Yeah.
I won a jersey once playing the basketball, and I made 2 out of 3 shots. You needed all 3 to get a jersey, and they were actually legitimate, at least looked legitimate jerseys instead of those fake ones. And the guy was like, "Oh, you hit 3 of 3, right?" And I missed the middle one, but I said yes, and he like drew a crowd over, and people were like, "Oh, Pete, you can win this." And then the next year, I went back and spent like $80 on the game, which was like a $5 play because I was like, "Oh, I won
remember
this." I never actually won it. So for
you're-
me to try and win again doesn't make any sense.
So if this guy listens to the podcast, he might revoke your prize.
He might. I'll have to return my Michael Jordan jersey to Wildwood Boardwalk. What a shame that would be.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah,
I think somebody's bowling upstairs.
it sounds like it.
Jeez. All right. Let's jump in to the NBA playoffs. Fair?
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, I want to hear your take on both series. You got the Mavericks trailing the Warriors in the series 1-0, and you got the Heat over the Celtics. Are those two teams going to come out in the NBA Finals?
So after round 1, I predicted that the Warriors would play the Celtics in the finals, and I'm going to stand by that. Touching on the Eastern Conference Finals first, I think Horford and Marcus Smart both being out for Game 1 was major. Smart being the Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not saying he's going to stop Jimmy Butler, but just having another body to throw at him really slows him down. And Al Horford's literally playing like he's 28 right now for some odd reason. I know Horford's back tonight. He was able to clear protocol. So I'm going to take Boston. Excuse me.
Oh,
hey, oh.
long night last night.
Yeah, I went to bed pretty early, but yeah, I like Boston winning that series in 7. And then I like in the West, I'm going to go with the Warriors winning that series in 6. I think Phoenix definitely would have been a better matchup for Golden State. I think the Mavs lack a lot of playoff experience. I think it's fantastic the fact that they've even made it this far. I just don't think they have enough scoring output outside of Luka to really get the job done.
Your boy Spence?
I love Dinwiddie, man, but he's been very inconsistent the entire playoffs.
He either goes off or he
either
doesn't.
goes off or he goes like 3 of 12. And I noticed that Brunson, when Luka was out in the first round, really excelled because he didn't have to pick and choose when to attack and take his shots. I think it's very hard to be another guard alongside Luka.
It's a big one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly. And they take a lot of threes.
What they 3 of 19 to start the game yesterday or something like that?
Yeah, and if you shoot 3 of 19 from 3 against the Warriors.
In the first quarter, too.
Well,
yeah.
Steph and Clay were 1 for 11 in the first.
Yeah.
Too. They scored all their points off twos.
But my boy Andrew Wiggins
He killed it in
stepped
the
up and he
first.
played well.
Worst all-star starter in NBA history.
Yes. I would agree with that. I don't know how. I guess the fans just voted him in.
Kawhi, PG were hurt, AD were hurt. It's like all the forwards were just out.
Wow.
Kind of thin in the
I bet
West,
Al
too.
Horford for 1+ made 3 tonight in my parlay.
That's
I
going to
feel
be
like
the
it's a lot.
easiest money you've ever made
It's
in your
one of
life.
the legs. It's one of the legs.
Well, we won't say the others because we don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else. But Al Horford is he averaged 10 points per game this season, and now he's up to over 15 points in the playoffs, which is nuts. So
I
he's
always
averaging
liked
like
his
15 point something.
I always liked his over for rebounds. I bet it like twice this year, and they hit both times, so it's like my lucky bet. But I'm not betting on the series. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Robert Williams has been hurt, and like he's playing now, but he's like probably like a shell of himself. And then Daniel Tice just fell out of the rotation. Like he's kind of awful.
Yeah.
So, Horford, I mean, he's been great. I just love the way the Celtics team is constructed. They have so much versatility,
I think they're going to win.
so many wings. You think they're going to win the whole thing?
I said they're going to win it after the first round because they demolished the Nets. I mean, the Nets also sucked. But I don't want them to win it. I don't want them to win it. I would rather see any of the other teams win it. I would love to see a Luka versus Tatum finals. I think that would be awesome. But I feel like everyone knows that the Warriors are going to the finals.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lock.
Yeah, they were definitely presented a good hand. Look, right? Memphis was 24-4 without Ja this year. You need your best players to win in the playoffs. Like, obviously they played Golden State really well. They beat them by 41 game, but like they were granted a gift, like Ja getting hurt, and they would have beaten them either way. But just like the way it probably would have won 7, honestly. But yeah, I think Golden State's gonna win it all. I think Steph's gonna get his first ever Finals MVP. Which he deserved in 2015.
Not Jordan
Iguodala. No, but Jordan Poole's about to get a bag in the offseason.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is about to get $100 million plus.
Is he a
So.
free agent this season?
Yes.
Knicks? No.
11th pick. You excited?
No.
Mike
The
and
Knicks-
John Montero, overtime elite.
What?
Best point guard in the draft.
I don't follow college at all, so that means
Not
nothing to me.
college, Overtime elite.
Oh.
Overtime.
Is getting drafted to the NBA?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Best point guard in the draft.
Wow.
You guys do need a point guard.
For years, we've needed a point guard.
Dominican.
I think I brought it up on the last podcast. Like Chris Duhon.
Well, you
Like,
also
isn't
got
gonna do
Frank Nicolino, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, which brings me perfect segue to my point. You ready? I'm ready. I've been sitting here waiting to announce it.
New York Knicks.
My announcement, and it's what everybody should be talking about, but they're not, is that there's a streak in the NBA of 75 straight finals appearances where a former Knick was in the NBA
yeah.
Finals. Everyone talked about it last year. It was a big deal.
What teams have one?
Only the Mavericks. Frank Ntilikina.
Oh, that's not looking good.
It's not looking great. This
Oh,
is the streak that
no.
people need to be talking
It's
about.
75 years?
75 straight years.
I thought it was like
That's
30. That's
insane.
crazy.
That's like almost the entire NBA existence.
And I haven't done like my full research on it, but like I looked at the rosters and there's no one that I've seen that was on a Knick for the last whatever years besides Frank. So if that streak ends, I'm like I've been saying the Warriors. I want the Warriors
So
to
you're high
win.
on the Mavs.
I don't want to be because I'm rooting for the Warriors, but for the sake of the streak in the Knicks history.
What are you really getting if the Warriors win? You get a Knicks something.
I want Steph Curry to get his first NBA Finals MVP, and I want him to.
Well, would you rather that happen, or would you rather this Knicks streak gets kept alive?
I mean, obviously the Warriors to win, but the Knicks streak, like anyone who's coming out of the West, I'm going to be happy.
True.
There's not even a reason to be happy about that as a Knicks fan, but like it's just like it's a
talent.
75 years. I mean, that's a lifespan almost.
Now, my question to you is, maybe if the streak ends this year, the Knicks will have better luck in their favor going forward. Maybe that's the streak that you do need to.
You think it's like a curse? Like it's the curse
sort of like how Brett Gardner being on the Yankees for way too long. He's finally not on the team, and this is the best that they've looked since they won in 2009. Yeah. And I've been telling people this for years. I just get like that weird feeling.
Like, why? Because he's like, was he a bad player for the team?
Absolutely nothing wrong with him. Just him being there, it just gave me weird vibes that like it was time for him to go.
He was a good player.
He was getting.
There's just some
older.
guys you just have to move on from.
He's too bald.
Like he was just getting way too many starts. Like Hicks was always getting hurt, so I get it. Like they would shift him around. Like John Carl, I know we just pivoted to baseball fast, but
it's
like,
okay. That's makeshift. That's what we do.
Seeing Stanton like actually play the outfield every day, knock on wood, he doesn't get hurt. Like it's good for his body that like he's moving and staying active. So
Stanton and Judge have been unreal this season so far. Specifically Judge.
Yeah.
And the Orioles Stadium, Judge got mad or was like sad that they changed the dimensions in left field. Because they like made a joke out of the ballpark. I don't know why they did that. They're gonna move it in like a year or two, I feel. But like he would have had 14 home runs. It would have been a home run in 28 other ballparks. And 14 home runs at this point, I'm like, Pete Alonso just hit his 10th today. And I'm like, okay, he's on pace for 40.
Have?
He has 13.
Oh, he has 13.
So he's on pace. We just hit the quarter point in the season pretty much. He's on pace for
a lot.
Yeah. So 13
50?
times 4 would
Almost
be
50.
Yeah, 50 something, right?
Almost 50, I think.
Math.
Am I doing math?
13, 26,
Yeah,
52.
52. You're right.
Mike saw the numbers crunching in my head.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna let him process it.
But yeah, 52 home runs on pace for. He's got a ton of RBIs.
What's
He's
the
batting
record?
for average. The record is Barry Bonds 73. That's not gonna.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean he was juiced up. The balls were probably.
So does that have an asterisk next to it?
Kinda.
He's the best baseball player ever.
Barry Bonds.
Aaron
Yes, Barry Bonds.
Judge.
I wish. Barry Bonds is the best baseball player ever.
I don't know if I could give him credit with the steroids. Like even before that, he was a great player, and I'm sure you watched the John Boyd video, John Boys, with his like on base percentage. If he never swung his bat in his career, what he would do, and he'd still be like a Hall of Famer. So I agree. Like he's unbelievable. He's I think underrated because people knock him for the steroids, but I have to take away some credit.
Yeah, and honestly, I think in 1990, like the early 90s, baseball was a dying sport.
Still,
and I think you know what it is now? They do a terrible job of marketing their players. Like they have no idea what they're doing.
I haven't watched a single game with Mike Trout in it.
Yeah, like Mike Trout is probably generationally like the best player ever. But we just would never know because you never get to watch them. And they have Ohtani. Like, they literally have arguably the two best players in baseball. I've maybe watched each of them bat, like, 10 times.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Ohtani pitch. But back to what I was saying with the steroids, like, baseball was dying in the 90s. And I think the MLB, I don't want to say encouraged steroids, but they definitely played a part in allowing it simply because the home run ball brought the game back to life. Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa home run chase, and then Bonds. But whatever. There's so many like conspiracy theories, but yeah, I think Bonds is one of the best, if not the best.
Well, this year now they're having a similar issue where they had too many home runs last year, or the last few years really, and then they pulled back a little bit. The manufacturing thing with the baseballs is unbelievable. I think they go through like 60 baseballs in a game.
That's nuts.
Or if it might be like 120 baseballs to be honest with you.
It's so crazy.
But it's do we juice the balls? Do we have a little bit more excitement? I personally like baseball when people are hitting, and the Mets are doing a great job at this, and hitting doubles, singles, keeping rallies going, and not just hitting 3 home runs in a game, and that just being all the offense that you have. In the playoffs, the Yankees past few years have been a home run reliant team. Yeah. They seem a little bit more rounded out this year, in my opinion.
And this is the lowest runs scored per game year, like in a long time, right?
I think so.
Because of the pitching rotations.
Yeah.
Also, do you obviously the Yankees have like more power hitters than the Mets, but Citi Field is a much harder ballpark to hit a home run, and you think that plays a part in it too?
Yeah. So
Is there like an advanced metric? Like I don't even know.
there's not, but I do think yes. And one thing that when I got to see the Mets no hitter, I was very excited to be there.
Say it again.
The Mets no hitter. Tyler McGill went to. I can name all the pitchers, but I won't.
Why not?
What? Because I don't want to.
He
Right
talks about it too much. He says it every night.
Yeah, I'll rant off about it. I'll
Every
post the
person
video.
that he meets, he goes, "Hi, nice to meet you. Fun fact about me? Oh, I was at the Mets no hitter."
You should put that on
Joely
your
Rodriguez,
resume.
Okay,
Tyler McGill.
Moving on.
No, now we're doing it.
I'm
Seth
itching
Lugo,
to hear.
Edwin Diaz,
Are you
and
itching to hear?
who was the last one? Seth Lugo,
Oh, look at
Diaz,
that. You weren't there.
Joely, Tyler, and Drew Smith. Not in that order, but yes,
What's
fact
the
check.
order?
I'm not doing
It's
the order.
okay. You covered it. I mean, that's sick that you were there.
I sat in left field for that game, and the wind significantly blowing in from left field the entire game. So I think, personally, when they post those metrics and like, oh, this home run would have been a home run in 28 other ballparks, I'm like, sure, distance-wise, if all other conditions are the same. But they take out the wind. I don't know if the wind blows out at Yankee Stadium. I don't think it does. I just don't think there's any wind blowing in, really. So these little balls that, might have been a 326-foot home run in another stadium, I can't say when I see that metric that I believe it completely 100% because I'm like, Citi Field, that would have been a fly ball left field because the wind's so strong coming in from left field on those cold nights.
Yeah, I agree. You can't just be about like the average depth of how far the ball goes.
But I also don't like the Yankee fan, or I guess I don't like other fans saying to the Yankees that like, oh, like you guys hit pop flies over left field. Game's the same for anybody who plays in that stadium. It's just when you're looking at stats overall, it's like Granderson hit like 38 home runs one year or like 40 home runs one year. And then he came to the Mets in Citi Field and hit like 16. Wasn't his prime season, sure, but just looking at those comparisons when you see the players, I just think it's a different game.
Oh yeah, side note, do you think Robinson Cano does absolutely anything with San Diego, or you think his career's just done?
He went 2 for 3 or something the other day in his first game. I was watching that. They're like, oh, Cano with 2 hits. Whenever he gets an extended time and period of like break, he seems to always like spring training. He seemed pretty good, and the Mets were like, and then he just did nothing. He had like 4 hits for the Mets in like a month. So obviously they cut him. So I don't think he's going to do anything for the Padres. Maybe like a spot at bat here or there. I don't even know if he stays with the team the whole season, but it was worth a shot for them to sign him, I guess. Where do we want to go back to NBA? Let's go back to the NBA draft. Yeah. Magic 1, Thunder 2, Rockets 3. I don't know anything about it. There's 3 players in the draft that are worth drafting. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think the guy from Gonzaga is going first.
Yeah, so
Chet.
Chet. Fun fact: Chet played high school basketball with Jalen Suggs in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
Jalen Suggs in Minnesota,
Elementary school.
at an elementary school.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so I and also Chet is like the highest. Chet is a very interesting prospect, right?
He's so crazy.
Frail. The guy literally can shoot the 3. He can defend 1 through 5.
It's like KD, but taller and longer.
Yeah, so his range of outcomes among the top 3 guys is like the biggest. He could end up being like the biggest flop ever, or like one of the greatest players like we've ever seen. If it was up to me and I had the first pick, I would probably take Paulo Banchero from Duke.
Really? I thought he was going. I would have him as third.
Yeah, I think him or Jabari Smith are like 1A, 1B type deal. Jabari Smith, he broke out at Auburn this year. Guy can shoot the 3. He just has like that Jason Tatum like esque frame. You just know he's going to be able to score like 25 a game like within the first few years of his career. But my gut tells me that Chet's going to go 1 based off of the fact that Orlando picks, and I just like the fit.
That would be a crazy relink.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And Jalen Suggs had a very like up and down rookie year. The problem with like these middle market teams, they're so mediocre for so long. They just stockpile like high first round picks. And before you know it, you just have like 7, 8 guys trying to grow their career like in a crowded room. Like it's never going to work. Yeah. That's why at some point you just have to like hopefully package a few of them and like get somebody good just to like stay, above
the Thunder's
ground.
entire existence.
Yeah, they acquired how many picks in that Paul George trade? Like 5?
And now they're just going to be mediocre.
Yeah, and they picked 2 now. I mean, the Thunder have something going. Like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's good.
Exactly what you're saying.
Josh Giddey. But they need a big. Like there's a void there. Like the Magic, they have Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba. Like you're not going to play them 2 and Chet. Like at some point, you just got to give one up.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Also a sleeper for the first overall pick. Just have to add Jaden Ivey from Purdue. Jaden Ivey.
Matt Moss-Miller.
Shout out Matty Moss, Purdue alum. Jaden Ivey is the closest thing we've seen since Ja Morant in college basketball. Yeah, they're actually very close. They tweeted each other all the time. Like, they repost each other's highlights. They call each other twin, whatever.
Ja Morant is so active on Twitter.
Yeah, very active on Twitter.
He tweeted more than, like, his points in his game.
His field goals made, yeah. But I think Ja Morant is a sleeper to go 1 just because Orlando.
Ja Morant.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Jaden Ivey.
I was like, wow.
I wanted Ja Morant to go to the Knicks. That was
I wanted
rough.
him too. He
I
would have
meant
been
Jaden
great
Ivey.
there.
See, that's when you know they're so similar because I literally just called
Ja
Jaden
Morant
Ivey
would
Ja
have been
Morant.
great anywhere.
Yeah, but
He
to be in
just
New York.
showstopper in New York.
Oh, my God.
That would have been sick. As a Nets fan, I would have enjoyed that because we still would have swept you every year, but at least it would have been fun.
Yeah, it would have been
But we got RJ Barrett.
Quick question. Would you trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell? Because
I would trade that in a heartbeat.
me and Brian, as Nets fans, we would do it tomorrow, but for some odd reason, right now, most people I speak to in the Knicks organization are like, oh, we don't like Donovan Mitchell's attitude, blah, blah, blah. He's from New York. He's a superstar. Like, I like RJ Barrett. He's really impressed me, but I'm sorry. I would do that trade tomorrow.
I mean, if you're talking straight up for that, then sure. Like, when you ask me the question, I'm hesitant. It's because I'm thinking of what else they're going to have to give up in pairing with that. If you're going to destroy, like, your next few years and you're not going to move the needle that much, like, Donovan Mitchell makes them a better team, but if you take away quickly, if you take away a few draft picks, and I don't know, I'm just a little hesitant in that because I've seen that train before, and it's like, okay, cool, you might be good for a year or two. Maybe. Are you going to attract other people? I'm not really sure.
You don't think so? Because that's what it's about. I mean, the Knicks would have the cap space. They just would have to dump Fournier and Randall at some point. Yeah. They would figure it out, though, if they got him.
What if it was like your four big... What if it was like... Quickly, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and like a pick.
That's a lot.
For Mitchell and Gobert. I know they don't get along.
If you get Gobert back for the big, then sure. Like, yes, I would do it. But if you don't get Gobert, then I can't give up.
Obviously, that's
theoretical. But you see where I'm thinking, because it's like if you're going to give up a big or you're going to give up pieces, that's going to take you a step back in other areas. And then, like, I've just seen the Knicks do it so many times. Like, sure, Donovan Mitchell, great. Like, you have him, he's going to attract some people. But like, what if you don't land that free agent? What if you don't trade for someone else because you can't figure out the deals or you don't have the pieces to do so? And then all of a sudden you're just a team with Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to just be a team with Donovan Mitchell. I want to move the needle and be better. And maybe it takes a few years. I don't know if it's the best path to give up so much. But if you're talking, would I rather have Barrett or Mitchell? Of course I want Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. Another team to watch out for in the draft. The Pelicans pick 8. From the Anthony Davis trade. Yeah, so for those who watch like March Madness, Benedict Mathurin on Arizona.
He went off.
Yeah, the guy is a freak show athlete. He would be a plug-and wing right away. Picture this lineup next year for the Pelicans. I like CJ McCollum as a 1, actually, not a 2. Okay. You put McCollum at the 1, Mathurin at the 2, Brandon Ingram at the 3, Zion at the 4 if he wants to come back and commit, Valanciunas at the 5. Then you got Grand Theft Alvarado off the bench, Herbert Jones.
Grand Theft
that team could compete.
I think they need a bench player, but
Devontae Graham, who's not bad, he kind of stunk this year, but they could get somebody. Yeah, I mean they're not. If Zion's like a beast. He just has to figure his life out.
Everyone that says that he's a bust or isn't that great is crazy because when he played, he was averaging like 28 points per game, which is absolutely nuts.
And Embiid was hurt for the beginning of his career. I see that comparison a lot. They're like, just wait. If he gets healthy, he could be a special player still.
Lose some weight.
Yeah, lose some.
James Harden can lose some weight. God, I'm so happy to see him struggle and lose.
He is the worst.
That he's gone. Yeah, that was the silver lining. Matty Moss made a great point. He was like, the silver lining of this season is that we don't have to commit $200 million to this guy. Yeah, I said, you're not wrong. We got a guy who has mental health and back problems, and God willing, hopefully he figures everything out. But owing money to James Harden, that would have been rough.
Yeah. Is he gonna get a max?
This is the whole Pat Bev thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of
I
stuff
don't think
on.
he deserves it. But Pat Bev apparently thinks he deserves it.
All every
the money in
team,
the world.
every team should be willing to throw money
don't
at him,
think
which
he
I don't
deserves
agree
it.
with right now.
He's a good point guard. He's not a max contract. Jason Tatum is a max contract player. Kevin Durant is a max contract player. Kyrie Irving's a max contract player. Like, all these guys are max contract players. Do you really put him with those guys?
I used to,
Like,
but after what I've seen,
LeBron James,
and that
Giannis.
It would be short. It would be short term because he'll probably opt into his player option for next year. I think that's what he's doing. He'll be paid like $47 million. And then at that point, I think he'll be 32, 33. So at that point in his career, with the way like physically his body's deteriorating, how many real prime years does he have left? I don't even know if they're prime years. Like how many effective years? Maybe 2.
The past few years, all we've seen is him going downhill. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not even kidding. Like Zach, with your length, I think you could probably stop him like 3 or 4 times out of 10. I'm not. I honestly, probably not because these guys are just so ridiculous. But you get what I'm trying to say. He cannot get around a traffic cone right now. He relies on that step back 3 and that one playoff game where he had like 31. They're like, oh my God, is this the vintage James Harden? He looked exactly the same.
That's the fact. You
Just
have
the
to say it's
shots
the
that he was.
vintage James Harden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people say that. You have. To
I just
say
felt
so
like
clearly
that
he's
that
not.
shifted so quickly, and that's why I said on the last podcast
right?
is that like people just the announcers are like, oh, this is vintage James Harden. It's like this dude early in the year was playing well in games where he had to carry his team. When KD was out, Kyrie was out, he played well. So for the narrative to just completely switch, I'm like, maybe he's just having a little bad rut. He's not going to be like, sure, the old Harden, if you want to like coin it that, or the vintage Harden. I just thought the narrative switched way too quickly.
Well, vintage Harden is his max contract player.
I guess I would say so. But
Vintage Harden, top 5 scorer ever.
was he not? I like. Okay.
I mean, he was nuts. I think that.
It's not. I was gonna say it's hot, but I mean, top
He
5
got
and
robbed
threes
of
all
at
time.
least one MVP.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that he won MVP like 3 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, what was it, 2018?
I think that the fact that you have to people call him vintage Harden, compare him to vintage Harden, clearly states that he doesn't deserve a max contract. Pat Bev thinks otherwise, but
I just thought it happened too fast.
well, it's been like 3 years since he's been on the Rockets.
But he was I'm not saying that like they were winning games, but like he was capable of scoring relentlessly still with the Nets in certain games. Like I watched him they lost to the Thunder earlier this year. I was at that game. KD didn't play. Kyrie
It
didn't
was just
play.
Harden. You were at that
Yeah,
game.
and he was hard. He was terrible.
Yeah, some games he was
Some-
very hit or miss.
But like he still had the capability. So like the fact that like it just shifted so quickly in my eyes, I was like, it's like
But a
everybody's
max
saying
contract
vintage.
player
No, I don't
should
think
be-
Yes, I agree.
should be like a Jason Tatum. You know what you're getting every single night. You're getting at least 20, at least, and at max 50 plus. And Joel Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, KD, like you know what you're getting. But that's just my opinion.
Well, KD, apparently you don't know what you're getting because
Yeah.
the playoffs were a little rough for that guy.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Don't even get me started.
Dude, that was a tough one.
I won't get you started.
Good.
I mean, we could talk about more. I feel like we're probably how far in?
Give me a hypothetical. We're 30 minutes, a little over 30. We'll do one hypothetical and we'll call it quits here.
All right. I cut this part out, Mike. Don't worry.
Unless you want to do something crazy right now.
I'll do whatever.
Let me see a bottle flip. It's a lot of water. For
Yeah,
that
you got to
bottle
take out some water to be able to do the bottle flip.
I'll give you a sip.
You got to take a good
nice
amount
sip,
out of
yeah.
that.
All right, he's disobeying the rules, but
Oh, you were saying like one shot to get the right amount?
yeah, let's see.
Practice flip.
That was the worst.
You know what it is? It's like the angle. Hold on.
There's too much water in it.
Is there though?
Ah.
Is there though, Zach?
Oh,
Is there
okay.
though?
I just got publicly shamed.
Cut that for TikTok.
Yeah, we'll cut it.
All right, well, we don't have a hypothetical here, so I guess that's the pod. Mike?
I have a question. Now,
Oh.
I'll ask you a question because this is the debate that I have with my friend Nick all the time. When RJ Barrett got drafted, I said to my friend Nick that I would be happy, and Andrew Wiggins was in the league for 5 years at this point. I said I would be happy I would be okay if he turned out to be Andrew Wiggins. I'm winning that side of the bet right now. I think I am, at least, because Andrew Wiggins has been a solid, third, fourth option on that team in terms of scoring. I think he's capable, shot over 40% from three this year, shot close to 50% from the field. He's just a solid player scoring about 16, 17 a game. I was statistically saying that. Do you think RJ Barrett is better than Andrew Wiggins?
No.
You think he's fulfilled?
Which one was an all-star starter this year?
I just don't believe.
Did RJ Barrett even get an all-star vote?
About him being a third
To,
or
like,
fourth option,
make
I
the-
think RJ Barrett
No,
would
he
be the
actually
same
got votes,
position
but-
and probably do worse.
Do you think RJ Barrett will be better than Andrew Wiggins?
See, that's like who knows.
Because RJ Barrett's in it's gonna be his fourth year. Andrew Wiggins is going into like his 8th year. Like it took Wiggins time.
Put
to
it
get there.
this way. I'll word it like this. I think in terms of raw talent and like production, Barrett has a very legitimate shot to be better than Wiggins. But in terms of would either of them ever be like the second best player on a championship team? No. So in terms of a player that has like the championship like skill set, just like a 3-and-D versatile wing that can guard 1 through 4, like 4 and really stretch the floor, I think Wiggins is better to have on a championship team. But I think when it's all said and done, RJ Barrett would be considered the better player. If that makes sense.
That made a lot of sense.
Good take. Mike's here for the good takes.
So RJ Barrett on an ideal championship team would be a number 3rd option.
Number 3rd.
I don't think he'll. That's his ceiling, yeah.
Yeah, I disagree with the Knicks fans that are saying that they need to build around RJ Barrett as
Yeah,
if
no.
he's going to be like the number 1 player on the team.
It's never gonna
If
happen.
that's your number 1 player, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
It will never happen.
he had a really good second half of the year, and he was very efficient and just not shooting 38% from the floor like he was earlier in the year. So if he could be that player that averages like 18 and 20 a game
That's a solid
and
player.
support, and you have 2 stars around it, and he's just a 3rd option that you could play off of. I'm trying to think of someone that like it compares to. I thought of like Harrison Barnes a lot with the Warriors.
That's so weird. I was really just about to say
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes.
But I think he's can create more than Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes right now is good. Yeah. Everybody thinks about that 2016 finals performance and they just think like he's a choke artist. He's one of those guys, he's going to be so good on like a bad team forever.
Yeah.
Like if I'm telling you, watch him on the Kings this past year, he was actually really good.
I did not.
He could hoop.
Because he was good when he first went to the Kings. Right? I remember looking at his stats and stuff. I was like, yeah, he's performing like whatever, but it gives me like the Michael Carter Williams treatment where it's just like I didn't feel like the team was good. So like someone's got to put up numbers. But I don't know. But I mean, Barnes has proved that he could be productive on a good team too. So I'm just not as the number 1 or 2 option.
But yeah, like I was saying though before, like just like the trajectory of these guys' careers, like Wiggins was a good guy on the Wolves for the first few years of his career, but his stats were padded because they were so bad. Yeah, exactly. Like there were nights he would take off. Like you put RJ Barrett on the Warriors right now, like you would not even acknowledge any of the progression he was really making. Yeah, true. If that sort of makes sense. Like he would progress just being with all those guys that have like the championship DNA. Yeah, but I see RJ Barrett being a good player on a mediocre team for a long time. If that makes sense.
Because the Knicks will forever be mediocre.
And the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins.
And the Mets.
No,
the
yeah,
Mets are good.
Can we talk about that?
Sure. What?
Why would the
Tyreek Hill?
Dolphins post a video of Tua underthrowing Tyreek Hill on a go route in practice?
I didn't see this.
Oh my, that was awful.
They posted
You have
that?
to. Yeah, it was like preview of the Tua and Tyreek Hill connection. Because it was not a good pass at all. He caught it, but he literally had to let up and catch the ball. And I was like, great, here we go. They really just posted this. Yeah, if you need somebody.
I don't have a good answer for that, Mike. I'm going to say the pass was completed, right? So
Yeah, if there was somebody in coverage, it would have been completed.
Well, how many times have you seen Tyreek Hill outrun Mahomes' throw and undercut the corner and make a sick catch?
Was it in practice?
No.
You don't know.
I'm trying to come up with something to
The
justify.
Dolphins did everything right this offseason, but they just don't have the driver.
Did they, though? Did they really move the needle?
Yeah, they need the quarterback.
They're
Well,
going to be now.
there
Okay,
is-
now they
there
get
is-
kicked out in the first round of the playoffs.
No, I know, but I'm saying considering what they needed to, like they did as much as they can.
I mean, they're going to have to be really good because they got the Bills. They're not winning the division.
Improved offensive line. I love the Bills.
Yeah,
Love Josh
that's my
Allen.
Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, I wanted them to
I
win
got the
last
Super Bowl
year.
pick last year, right?
Yeah, you killed it.
Preseason.
You
too.
picked the Rams?
Yeah. I have a video of it.
Yeah.
Impressive.
We filmed it.
Nice.
Very impressive.
They should hire you at ESPN.
They should. First take. Where you at?
Yeah, if Pat Bev can get on there, anybody can.
All right, that's a wrap here for podcast 15. Mike, thanks for coming. There you go.
That's another one in the books, baby.